If you're not familiar with me or my work, you can go to my website, it's pvvonline.com, and you can look me up there, because we're not here today to talk about me. Instead, we're here today to learn from all these lovely ladies up here with me. Yay. So, for decades, myths and misconceptions have shaped popular and even industry understanding of women's participation in the adult business. For example, all too often we only ever hear about women performers. Now, in many ways, women performers drive this business, but we often forget that women work in the adult industry at every other level too. From content production and distribution to novelties, retail, and PR, women are absolutely integral to the adult business, and they always have been. I'm super excited that AEE and A&E have allowed us this opportunity to explore women's leadership and innovations in adult again, because this is the second year that we've gotten to do this, and I'm very happy to bring this to the forefront a second time. Just like last year, our panelists highlight the occupational range found amongst women and adult. And though it's absolutely not possible to get every corner of the business crammed onto a 6-person panel, we really do get to see a lot up here from these women, so yay! Real quick before we begin, I just wanted to give a special mention to Tom Himes. He was very supportive of me when I first proposed doing this last year, and he was very supportive again this year. Due to some personal stuff, he's not here today, but I just hope that he knows we're all thinking of him. So, yay Tom. Yeah, so let's get started. Starting down at the end with Wendy, why don't you all introduce yourselves and tell everybody a little bit about what you do and how you got in the business.
I originally got into the business through webcam. I'm a featured star on iFriends, and started shooting content there to kind of promote myself, and that suddenly took off, and I now have my own site and produce for that pretty regularly, and we're working to expand beyond that. So, yeah, that's me.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Feingold. I'm the CEO and president of Honey's Place. We are a wholesale distribution company for all the adult toys. We carry over 15,000 items at this point, and we sell to all types of businesses, stores, home party companies, websites. We do drop shipping. We have a new branch of our company, which is Build the Store. So for people who want their own sites, we have a platform to help them build their own sites. I've been in the industry, March will be 10 years, and I actually took over the company from my mother. My mother started the company in 1994, and when she passed away in 2002, I took over in 2003.
Hi, I'm Tanya Tate. I've been in the industry since 2008. I started off in England as a performer, and I moved across to America in about 2010. I have a million things that I do. Really. I have my own Tanya Tate website. I do all the content myself. I upload it all. I blog on it. I also do webcam shows for my members. I started directing in this past year, so I directed this year for Penthouse. I also direct for Philly Films, which is a girl studio. And I also acquired a publicity company as well this year, Star Factory PR. So, oh, and I do cosplay as well. I have this love of cosplay. So I like to go out to the different conventions and get dressed up as sexy superheroes. And I have a little blog that I do, just for Tanya. And on there I kind of document my adventures and do like little videos and do reviews of all geeky stuff. So, and I'm a fleshlight girl as well. Did it get everything?
Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming. I'm Jacky St. James. I am the writer and director for New Sensations. Primarily, I work in the romance genres. I got into adult about 2 years ago. I have been watching porn since I was 18 years old, and I'm an avid lover and believer in it. And I reached out to Eddie Powell, who's the director for the romance series and most of New Sensations, all sex releases, and sought him out for assistance on how to write an adult romance script, and he gave me some amazing information. I submitted the script to the company, and before I knew it, I was writing full-time for them. That's me.
Hi, I'm Angie Rowntree, and we've been running websites now since 1994. Our two primary sites are Wasteland.com, which is a BDSM site, and of course Shush.com, which is a women's erotica site.
Dang. You guys impressed? I am. Okay, this question is directed to Bonnie, Natalie, and Jacky. You all work in relatively corporate environments within the context of larger organizations and adult. So how is your gender or your womanness? How has it impacted your negotiation of your work environment? In other words, what's it like to be a woman in your workspace? Good, bad, in between? Let's start with Bonnie.
Okay. Well, I'm lucky I'm the boss. So in my workspace, I get to make all the decisions, of course. Within the offices, I would say there's more women than men employees. Just that's kind of how it's worked out. And I don't necessarily think that there's anything more different in our offices than there would be in any office that's run by a woman. You know, you do find sometimes men have trouble with women in authority. I find that within the industry at trade shows and meetings and different things, I've certainly been in a place where I'm one of the only women in the room. And it's a little awkward at first. I think when I first got into the industry, people probably didn't think that I was going to make it since I was a woman, or maybe I was new and inexperienced, and not probably a little bit of both. But for me, it's overall been a very positive experience, and I work with a very good group of people that I've created at the company.
Thank you. Jacky?
I work for a company that employs a lot of women in high-power positions, so for me it was always advantageous to work for New Sensations. But from my writing perspective, I think it's important to have a woman writing romance for the couples market because they bring something unique to the experience. Prior to that, there were very few female writers working for New Sensations. It was mostly romance written by men. So what I thought was advantageous to having me there was that I can bring the female perspective. And I think that's really important when you're targeting women and couples.
Awesome. Okay, so now Wendy, Tanya, and Angie, same question basically. You all work relatively independently. So what's it like to be a woman in your independent workspace? Good, bad, in between. Tanya?
For me, with directing for Philly films, it's kind of like nice that I am a female because they are all girls, and I become kind of like the mummy figure to them all, and I am really sweet with them. It's like, okay, this is what I want you to do. So I think being a woman, I can get kind of more hands-on with them. Maybe I've performed with some of them before, you know, so I'm kind of a bit touchy-feely. And if a man done that to these girls, it'd be like, ooh, he's perfect. But I can get away with it. But I do it in a really nice way, and it's like really sweet. So I do tend to get a lot out of these girls when they come onto my set. But at the same time as well, I think because sometimes they think I'm a woman, maybe they think, oh, it's okay, I'll tell her this and it'll be okay, and suddenly it's like, no, I don't want you to do that, I want you to do this. And then there's kind of like, I have to kind of be a bit more stern with them. But then I become back nice again. But for example, I've got like the Star Factory PR that used to be run by Star, as many of you may already know. And he's moved on to work for a digital playground. He does their marketing and publicity full time. So suddenly I acquired the business, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And I'd seen the way that he run it for the previous 2 years, of the way that he was with the girls and the clients. And so I had to take over, and it was kind of really difficult at first. Suddenly you become a person in authority, and you've got to tell these girls, this is what I want you to do. And they try and run rings around you, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be there. I'm busy now, and can we just change the time? And it's like, you've really got to stand your ground, and you've really got to say to them, no, you have to be here at this time. If you can't make it, then we'll have to just like not do this appointment. So it does have its good points and its bad points, but I like being a woman, so.
Thank you, Tanya. What about you, Angie?
I think because I'm a business owner, I have a little bit different perspective on things. I certainly treat all the women that work for us, regardless of what they do, the same way I want to be treated. But I do have one little story to tell, which sort of to this day irks me a little bit. We received a phone call within the first 5 years that Shush was alive. And it was a man who represented himself as a lawyer for a large women's magazine, but wouldn't give us the name of the magazine at this point. And they were interested in purchasing Shush. And I said, well, Shush is not for sale. And then he said to me, okay, can I speak to someone in charge now? And I said, you're speaking to someone in charge. And he goes, no, I mean somebody really in charge. I said, you're speaking to someone really in charge. And then he said to me, can I speak to the owner? And I said, I sign your paychecks. I mean, you're speaking to the owner. I mean, the Shush is not for sale. And he actually asked to talk to a man in a position of power. And I said, yeah, well, okay, see you later. And it was just, I wasn't even going to waste my time. And I think that really just annoyed me that he just refused to take me seriously, even after I told him like 3 times. You're talking to the owner, you're talking to the publisher, you're talking to the editor, you know, this is it. The buck stops here. And he just would not take me seriously. And that's only ever happened that one time. So, and I feel very fortunate, but it still remains in my mind that the discrimination is out there. And that somebody actually thought that in order to have something successful, there had to be a man behind it. Sorry.
What year is it? Okay. So next question. Lots of people today talk about women consumers and marketing to the ladies. In your experience, panelists, how have women consumers played into your business? How has their feedback impacted your decision making? And let's start with you again, Angie, and move down the line.
All right. Wow. Women, I think it's about presentation. We've been running surveys on Shush for the last 12 years. And one of the questions is, why did you purchase the membership to Shush? What was it about the site that attracted you? And I'll say it didn't make me feel dirty. It was the presentation. It was done, you know, it was done with an element of class. And I think that goes for everything, whether it's product or whatever. It's all about the presentation for women. As for the content inside the site, that is definitely the women. We started, like the initial group of women that started Shush, we sort of said, well, let's try this and let's try that. We just threw the smorgasbord of stuff together, of which some worked well and some didn't. But Shush that stands today is definitely a product of our members. They've told us what they've wanted, and we've tried to comply. So I think our members, the consumers, they have made Shush what it is. I mean, we even have a charity program. I'm so proud of it. We adopted a tiger last year, where the members actually choose the charity that they want us to give to every month. So we have a list of pre-approved charities that we know a lot of the money goes just directly to the charity as opposed to administrative costs. And every month we try to pick them. We've got like 5 different areas, like arts and culture and animal rescue and environmental and health. And we try to pick one from every country so that all our members are represented. So, you know, if you live in if we have a member from Venezuela, we do have the Andes Fund in there, which is based in Venezuela. And they choose, every month they choose, and that's who we donate to. So and that just makes them feel a part of that community.
And you recently chose a tiger.
We chose a tiger. Oh, you know, we were going to be, first we thought, well, you know, we'll choose a fox, you know, because it's women are fox. Yeah, and it's just like, no, let's get something big and powerful.
Yes.
A tiger.
What about you, Jacky?
I have really strong opinions about the phrase porn for women because I'm a woman and I'm not necessarily interested in romance type porn. So I think I want to just reiterate the fact that women watch all kinds of porn, but when we're talking about catering to couples and porn for women, it's usually the tamer sex scenes with storyline. I always like to reiterate that because I'm a fan of much more hardcore stuff. But when we're marketing for couples or tamer porn for women, the thing that I take into account is that a lot of what we've seen in the past has been very stylized, harlequin, romancy kind of porn. And I think women are a lot smarter than that. So for me, I want to write to the smart women and the women that are interested in complex characters and funny storylines and things like that. But in terms of how we direct the scenes and the way the sex happens in these films for couples, you know, a lot of women that are a little bit intimidated by porn don't like to see cum shots above the neck, so we do take that into account. Any of the romance movies that we have don't have any coming on the faces or face fucking or gagging or anything, like lots of spit. It's much more connected sex that you might see behind closed doors between a couple versus what you might see in typical all-sex releases. And we definitely listen to the people that reach out to us, things that they want to see more of, things that intimidate them. And a lot of times we take recommendations from the fans of our series on what guys they want to see more of. And that's really exciting when women are getting passionate about the male porn stars. It shows that a lot has changed.
Yeah. Men porn stars don't usually get a lot of love in this day.
And they should.
And they should.
For me, I mean, I do have couples that come to see me, but the women, I mean, hey, there's more women chatting now. I think, though, the experience for women, though, is just having another woman that they can open up to about their own sexuality. Because there's not necessarily other people out there that are willing to listen, or they're afraid that somebody else is going to judge them based off of, oh, I'm so openly sexual.
So do you find that when you're camming or working, do you find women in your room like asking you about stuff?
No. I actually will have women take me private just to tell me what they have done sexually in the last month.
It's almost like bearing their souls.
Basically just pouring their souls out to me and telling me, they're like, I just have nobody else to tell this to.
Oh, so interesting.
So, always great fun for me.
People need more communication and more people to talk to. Tanya?
When I started directing for Philly Films, I'd never directed as such before. I'd shot content for my own website, but I didn't class that as directing. And it was kind of like starting off with taking some of the feedback from the fans. And I am a really big believer in keeping in touch with my fans, whether it's, you know, male and female. I am really big on Twitter. You know, there's a lot of platforms where people can connect with me. On Facebook, I also have like phone chat lines, there's the webcam. They can speak to me, and direct email, of course, as well. So it started off with taking the feedback from the fans and my personal experiences and my personal fantasies, really. And I combine that between the two when I come up with a concept for each of the movies that I do. Because I'm on the Twitter and because I do a lot of social media, I ask for the fans' feedback all the time. And when I'm kind of like marketing my girls as well with the Star Factory PR, it's, you know, we'll put it out there. I'll connect with all the different people. You know, sometimes they come up with some really good ideas, and I'm like, you know, I think I'm going to take that. And about the tigers before, if you saw, we kind of like had a little like giggle between us. Recently I took Chauntelle and we went to a place called Shambhala, and it's in Tippy Hedra, and she's got a sanctuary for big animals. So it's like where big cats, tigers, lions are unwanted, you know, and she takes them in. So it's like a little sanctuary, and I actually adopted a tiger. So Chauntelle was my guest, so I was Mummy Tanya, and she was like Auntie Chauntelle. We went and saw the tigers.
It's very tiger-centric up here. Thank you, Tanya. Bonnie?
Well, as a distributor, my business is B2B. I don't deal with the consumer. But what I can say is, for my company, we definitely market as a female-friendly company. The name itself and our website and all of our materials are marketed in that way because I'm a woman running it, and I think that's important. And there are not really other distributors that are run by a woman. I can say, as far as all of the adult toys and novelties in the industry, I've had the many years between seeing my mother and then myself running the company to see the trends. And I will say that the trends more and more are focused towards being marketed towards women with softer packaging and couples focused, and really, more and more women are comfortable going into stores and buying products. So as that trend continues, we'll just keep seeing all of the toys continue to have that focus with women in mind.
Wendy?
Within the transsexual niche, this is actually a very underserved market. There really isn't a lot of content being geared towards it. The only thing I can think of that's even remotely is Nika Noel's Transromantic series. But even that, you're still playing to kind of this more traditional transsexual porn market. So it's something that I keep looking at. It's clearly an underserved market. I hear from women all the time. And it's just a matter of trying to find how do you find that balance, because it is a different interest in transsexuals than what a lot of the male population will have. So it's finding that balance. We're not quite there yet.
That's interesting. It's interesting to think about the differences in the kind of stuff that Jacky does, and also the kind of stuff that you do. But to think about manipulating or considering the different consumer. Fascinating. Okay, so each one of you, obviously, is super creative and fantastic. But I'm wondering about what kinds of specific, new, edgy, and innovative things you engage. So, past and present, what have you done to push the envelope and create something new? Why don't we start down there, Wendy? Sorry.
No, that's fine. One of the things that when I make my porn, I really try to think about is what I refer to as porn of the mundane. To me, there's a lot of sexiness in day-to-day life. But there are things that most people kind of overlook, and you don't touch on in porn. A great example is cleaning the bathroom. I can think of somebody that I dated years ago. And she was cleaning the bathroom one day, and I was just walking down the hall, and I went, hi. And it had this awareness that, wow, that's kind of sexy to watch everything shake as she's scrubbing the floor. And, yeah, see? And you know what I mean? And so then I do fan challenges. I say to my fans, all right, on Twitter, what's the craziest thing you can think of? The thing that's the least sexy possible. And one time I did this, everybody came back with a different bathroom cleaning implement. I had plungers, I had toilet brushes, I had all these kind of things okay. And I sat down and we did a set called Dick and Spam, which was entirely about that kind of stuff. And this sequence where I'm there scrubbing the floor and letting everything shake. Then taking a toilet brush up the ass. I mean, for me, it's about finding those kind of little moments and the little things that most people wouldn't think of making sexual, and make it sexual, because it is. I mean, we're sexual beings. We should tap into them.
This discussion reminds me of your Scrabble rug.
My Scrabble rug?
Making Scrabble rug sexy. Wendy has a Scrabble rug.
I have a giant Scrabble rug that I occasionally use on webcam, and I've done it for a set. There's nothing more interesting than shooting a set like that when you've got Scrabble fans on set, because everybody kept trying to add new words to the board as we're shooting. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Bonnie?
Well, my story is not as fun or sexy. That I run a wholesale distribution company. I would say probably the most innovative thing that I've done in the last year or so is built our sister company, Build a Store, which took several years for us to build the platform, and it's different than any other white label platform out there. I mean, you can really build your own site and completely customize absolutely everything you want on it. Colors, pictures, descriptions of items, and all of our 15,000 items are available on the platform, as well as the unique feature that if you have an item we don't carry, you can also add it to the platform and still sell it there. So that's a little different than any platform for white label that anyone has in the industry.
I think that's super sexy. I'm sure everybody else does too. Because to me, I have absolutely no idea how you would do that. That's smart. It's so sexy.
Thank you.
I started off going to San Diego Comic-Con in 2010, and I got a sexy little outfit. It was actually Emma Frost. It was the white boob tube and the white little skirt. It was very hot. And I realized I had a lot of potential. I was an adult model at the time and making movies, and suddenly people are taking pictures of me and I'm fully clothed. I'm like, wow, okay, they do girls with clothes on too. So I started started from there, and what was more like a little bit of a passion, it turned into kind of like a big genre for me. I started the cosplay blog, Just a Lot of Tanya, and I started my little YouTube channel, Tanya Tate Tube, and from there, it was just kind of like a little tiny idea that turned into something really big, and now I've got kind of like cross-contamination, of the fans. I have the cosplay stuff where I have all the little boy geeks that like to spend hours on the internet, and they'll meet me at the conventions, and I'll give out my flyers, which are all safe for work, unlike the flyers I give out now. So I give them out, and either they know me, and they're like, I've seen you before, where have I seen your face? And I'm standing in the convention, and there's all people and families around me, and I'm like, yeah, you've probably seen my blog. And then they'll go home and they'll obviously Google Tanya Tate, and then all this stuff comes up, and oh, that's where I know you from. Or suddenly they're like, oh yeah, I was looking at you the other way, and they'll be tweeting me and Facebooking me. So it's kind of suddenly I've got all these adult people are interested in adults and people are interested in cosplay. So it's a really good mix. And it's fun really to just get out there and do something that I really like, and I'm actually up for an AEExpo nomination for Best Crossover Star, so I think that's a good indication of how well I've done.
That's awesome. It's interesting too, the idea of thinking about reaching out to consumers in a different way. Like maybe people wouldn't be interested in the porn part or the hardcore part, or maybe they don't think they would, and they're like, oh, cosplay, this is kind of safe, and you kind of reel them in that way. Very sneaky. Natalie?
For me, it is one of those things where I encourage my customers to buy things off my wish list just so they can see me perform with it. A lot of these guys have, all these ideas and these fantasies, and, we're exploring them together, and most of the time for the first time. So I try to use that as my base for, creating a new and unique experience for these guys that, hey, they're already coming to see me for seeing, what's new. I can't share this with, my wife, or I can't share this with, this girl that I'm really interested in, but I still want that experience. I'm like, hey, if you want it, buy it, let's do this. I'm very open with my sexuality, and I think that lets them let their guard down so that they can be open with themselves as well.
Right. It gives them a more personal experience as well, and maybe keeps them
Very
coming.
personal.
Jackie?
For me, I like exploring relationships between couples that isn't status quo. So there's been 2 films that were released this past year. Torn was one of them, in which we explored infidelity and the fact that maybe it's not always the worst thing in the world. And also explored a threesome in that movie with a couple that was married for a very long time and were madly in love, but just like to experiment. And I think it's important to show that not every couple has a what we might define as normal relationship, that you can have an open relationship and be very, very in love with your partner. And then most recently, and I'm so excited because I begged my boss to let me have an anal sex scene in a romance movie. So in an upcoming film called The Submission of Emma Marx, which is exploring a BDSM relationship, we actually had our first anal sex scene in a romance movie, and I am so beyond stoked because I think the way it's often depicted in adult movies is that it's this degrading and often negative and often violent thing. And it doesn't always have to be that way. It can be actually a really beautiful thing to share between 2 people. So for me, I think that was pretty groundbreaking and awesome.
That's groundbreaking and awesome. Jackie does her homework with her work too. Her films are very authentic and very well researched. And yes, if you guys haven't seen Torn, not to do a little plug, but it's one of the most incredible movies I've ever seen in my life. Out of all movies, very good. You're welcome, Angie.
I think Shush attracts a different audience where most of our members are first-time porn buyers, so they're probably, even yours, this new sensation, is probably a little too hardcore for them. So I think what makes us different, or it's just our movie form, is the way that we present our information, whether it's movies or educational component or stories. We try to make it smart because I don't want women to feel like if they're sexual, they're stupid. Which, I mean, some of the questions that we get from members just want to make you cry. Our movie formulas are mostly storyline with one love scene. It's not even, I mean, it's all like medium shot. We don't show the insertion, although you can obviously see it from the medium shot. We don't, same as come shot above the neck. And so it's all done very respectfully. And we also use real couples, which is one of the things that I think sets us apart. That the only time we don't use real couples is if media is filming us filming. Then everybody that we know that has worked for Shush has said, there's one thing, exploring our sexuality within the safety of the members area, but do I want to be on ABC Nightline? No. So, yeah, working with real couples. So you can actually really see the chemistry, and a lot of times the sex scene is just, it has minimal direction. It's a do what you do at home.
Can I ask, what are the emails that you received that made you want to cry?
Just women really unsure about their sexuality. I mean, it was just, I remember many years ago, one of the things that made us want to start Shush was that I watched an HBO special, and a woman was like Real Sex or one of those specials. The woman masturbated through her sheet because she was brought up to believe that masturbation was bad, evil, And she said that afterwards she was just riddled with guilt for doing it. So Shush was created to let women know that we really can have everything. We can have a career, we can have children, and we can be sexual. And that's okay. That's totally okay. So we get these emails just, with women afraid, oh my gosh, you don't want to go there with me. One girl emailed us because she caught her husband masturbating in the shower. And it's like, that's it, I'm divorcing him, and I'm saying, no, you don't want to. This is like your shit, shower, shave, masturbate. That's it. It means nothing more than that. Because our membership, now remember, our membership are first-time porn buyers. These are women that are newbies. They're just testing the waters. We're really hoping with Shush that people kind of jump from Cosmo to us to New Sensations. Or Wasteland, even better. Which is our BDSM site. So we try to give them a safe place to explore their sexuality, and like everything in Shush is rated with libs. So we know that the first place they're going to go is the couples section, and they're going to read everything that's got, or watch everything that's got one lip on it, or watch the tutorials with one lip on it. And, then we're hoping that they get up to 3, and then eventually they'll go, oh, I wonder what's over in that kink section. Maybe I'll just take a little tiny peek. So they start out with that, one lip stuff, and then they just work their way through the whole thing. I mean, we have a whole masturbation section, and, when I said earlier that we keep our, we do surveys and stuff, and it's like, what do you want to see the least of? And they said anal sex. But no. But the next question is, what do you want to see the most of? And they said, anal sex. So I think we should, when we get, we have an Ask a Man panel, which is like 5 guys, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or maybe now there's kind of some of them are kind of jumping over into the 60s, but the women email them questions that they don't feel comfortable asking their friends or their husbands, and some of the questions are just, my sister and I go out to the bar, and all the men are always attracted to her. What's wrong with me? And it's just really sad stuff, and I'm glad that we're there. I'm really glad that we're there to answer the questions. Yeah.
It's really interesting to me to think about how different everybody is up here and all the different work that they do. But everybody's really working towards sex education and social justice and really liberating people's sexuality. So thank you, panelists, for helping change the world. You guys are awesome. One drop at a time. Okay, so this next question actually came to me via the social media universe. So there's somebody out there that's following this panel now that wants to know the answer to this. So can anybody speak to issues impacting women performers looking to transition into more behind-the-scenes roles, or even just people making big career jumps within the industry. So if somebody is in, you know, production, moving into PR or something like that. Can anybody talk about that? Tanya?
It kind of become more of a natural transition. I didn't plan to do the things that I was doing. I started off as a performer, and the opportunity arose. People see me as professional, you know, I'm self-rep, for example. I used to have an agent, but then after a certain time, I decided now I wanted to just represent myself and get my own bookings and market myself that way. So people within the industry already saw me as a professional person, you know, someone that is, when I do something, I do the, you know, to the best of my ability, because I want my fans to be able to see my work. So when I was offered the chance to direct the 4 Philly films, you know, he said, I want you to come make a movie for me. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never made a movie. I've been, you know, the other side of the camera, you know, where the camera's taking everything of me, but I've never really took much notice of what else is going on. And he said, it's okay, you can do it. So my first movie actually is in Fine Magic, Tanya Tate, the MILF masseuse. So basically the concept was a really, really easy concept. The girls come in to my massage salon for a nice massage, and it all ends in a very happy ending. And it's actually nominated for an AEExpo award for Best Older Woman, Younger Girl Release. So that is just so exciting. But it just kind of transitioned, and I think if you want to work more towards behind the scenes kind of things, you know, you have to. It's about being in the right place at the right time, but you know, be seen as the person that does a good job. You know, that you need to become established. It's really hard if you're not in the industry. I have a lot of people that will ask me, hey, how do I get into the industry? Like, especially guys, you know, and I do like an amateur series, which is the Tanya Tate casting couch, and really these guys are brand new guys, and they're like, hey, what do we want to know? What do we want to know? Want to get into the industry, and or it's like, oh, I'd like to, you know, take pictures of you, and it's like, it's not that easy. People think porn is easy, you know. They think we all come to work every day, you know, and it's like, hey, it's all a big party. You don't realize actually it is a business. So if you can get that business mind going, and get that professionalism, and do your research, I think it's a good step how to get into the industry, both sides.
Nice, thank you. What about you, Jacky?
I would say, like, for any woman interested in making a transition, to really build a relationship with a studio or production company, because the more faith and trust they have in you, the more willing they'll be to take a risk on, like, for example, Tanya. I mean, she's a performer, and now they're letting her direct, and then the next step, and the next step, and the next step. So I think it's really creating a strong relationship with whoever it is that you're working with. I think this business is really receptive to giving people a shot in a variety of different areas. It's just a matter of making sure that you have those relationships solid before you start asking for favors.
That's good advice. Anybody else?
Yeah. I mean, for me, part of the reason I got in front of the camera was because I do want to move behind. You know, the transsexual niche is still developing. There's a lot of room for growth there. And one of the things that I've taken as a step, and maybe people will find this useful, but I make it a point of shooting with a lot of different people. I hire different professionals to work with, because I can watch them work, I can ask questions, I can figure out why they're doing what they're doing. And that's something that I don't see a lot of people. I hear a lot of people talk about wanting to get behind the camera and wanting to shoot, but they don't take the time to learn the technical skills. They don't take the time to learn the hows and whys of what you're doing. So you can figure out what the rules are, and so you can break them.
There you go. On-the-job training, too. Very nice.
For me, I did the exact opposite. I started behind the cameras and then got in front of my camera.
Everybody's having way too much fun. I want to have fun.
You know, Rob at the WCA was great, and he gave me all the tools, he gave me all the right answers to give to the girls. But for me, it was important that I knew exactly what I was telling these girls actually worked. I'm like, if I don't know that it's going to work for me, I can't say that, hey, with confidence, this is going to work for you, you know? And now when the girls are asking me, you know, well, hey, I want to do more. I want to do more. You know, there's got to be more. There's so much things that, you know, we can teach them with how to recruit and how to get an LLC and how to start their business. I just can't hold their hands and go and get their business licenses for them.
Yeah, you do have to do a little bit of the work yourself. Anybody else moving around? All right, let's open it up to questions now. Who has a question for this epic panel of women? You down in front, Joaquin?
I actually have a question for Bonnie. You've had very, very successful, you've had a lot of success with your business. I'm wondering what the decision or how you came to decide to transition and also have the internet side of your business, going from distribution and then crossing over to that.
It's something that I thought about for a long time. I see that more and more people buy online. I listen to our customers. A lot of stores or people at shows would say, I want a website, and they would ask for our help. And we already had things like APIs in place where they can connect if they already have a website to us for us to drop ship for them. We've had that in place for a very long time. But we didn't have this side to the business. And as I looked around at my competition, they had either affiliate programs or white label programs. But to me, their programs were not complete. They were programs where you could join their platform and put up a logo and maybe your name and change a few colors. But truthfully, online, it's very competitive. And I knew that I wanted my client base to have a chance at real success. And the only way to do that was to build my own platform and have a platform whereby people could modify and change anything and everything, including product descriptions, so that Google could see them as unique. Because online, it's very, very important for Google, as they're spidering your site, to see you as unique. And that's how you get to the top of the search engines. And that's how you create a website that can be successful. So really, it was just looking at our client base, seeing what they needed, realizing that technology is becoming more prevalent, looking at the competition, seeing what was missing, and trying to build something that really captured that entire space.
So being a smart businesswoman.
Okay, thank you.
Being a smart businesswoman. Yes, question. You should introduce yourself.
Yeah, and if you ask me anything.
With what little voice I've got left, I've been moderating and speaking since XBiz. I'm Colin from Wasteland. Now that Angie has established that shush is sort of a gateway to BDSM or hardcore, sort of like pot is a gateway drug to heroin. Certainly, you know, the 800-pound gorilla in the basement, the way that hasn't been talked about is 50 Shades of Grey. You know, like it, love it, hate it, think it's really shitty writing, think it's pandering, with bondage light, you know, whatever you think, it's a major driving market force. So just a generalized question as far as how that's sort of helping people get their kink on and bringing them into, you know, or get their wasteland on, not kink, damn it. Just a generalized question there.
I could speak to that, because I could speak to that and seeing the sales at our company with toys. You know, whatever you say about the writing of the book, it's been awesome. I mean, it has opened up an entire new world to many women who now will feel safe exploring their sexuality. I mean, we saw in a matter of days through the entire industry, not just our company, you know, you couldn't find Benoit balls anywhere for about a month. I mean, every store in the country kind of sold out of them. We sold out of them. My competition sold out. None of the manufacturers had them. And we've seen an uptake in sales in general. So yes, I think that there was the initial boom of sales, and then, you know, you see it go back down a little, but it's still at a higher level. There's still more women now feeling safe to explore their sexuality, which I think is extremely healthy.
Another question? Oh, go.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a researcher, and I just started having to deal with having female haters because I do a little research in the industry, which is completely value neutral. So I was wondering how you guys in the industry deal with people who call themselves feminists and call you pornmongers and a disgrace to all women.
We've never really experienced that, and we're very choosy because we tell what we do too. But I personally have never
I think when you engage with people like that, it lowers you to their level. I mean, I had somebody tell me that recently it was like a Facebook conversation, and it was one that I'm glad I didn't get too sucked into, but somebody who said, you know, you're a disgusting human being, and I would never let my son date you. And you know, I don't even know how that's relevant, but I think you just don't want to engage with people because it's a stupid conversation that's based in zero rationale whatsoever, and it's usually, you know, religiously based or society's own opinions of what porn is. I would not even engage with those people, honestly.
Have you guys ever gotten any like serious threats from people?
Yeah. It's in terms of like, because I went round Ireland and I made a movie, and Ireland is a very Catholic country, and suddenly for this porn star to come in and like corrupt their men, and I was enticing them to come and have sex with me in a camper van, even though it was like you had to apply and you had to send your pictures, and then you had to like, you know, there was a lot of backwards and forwards with these guys, and you know, they turned up of their own accord and they signed the releases of their own accord. So for me, there was a lot of like backlash from Ireland, you know, and they didn't like me. It made front page of the newspapers, especially seeing that one of the guys that come on my Tanya Tate sex tour of Ireland, he was actually a pro athlete. He was a hurler, and hurling's like really big, and so front page of the newspaper, you know, there's him, there's me, and it was fuck Wada, you know, fuck harder. So I did get a lot of like people hating on me, and you know, there's like a specific like tweet, you know, I can't even remember what it was because it was so ridiculous, but you know, I wish you were dead, I wish your head would be cut off. It was something along them lines, and I was just like, okay, you're really weird, so I just block. But what I do, I take screen grabs of it, and because of that particular one, I was like, okay, this is a death threat. And I went to the police station because I just wanted it to be recorded. I knew they wasn't going to do anything. And they said, oh, yeah, you're going to notify this online place. And I told Twitter, and I screen grabbed it, and they just went, yeah, don't worry, just ignore them. And so people don't take these threats serious, and they don't do anything about it. But my advice is, if anybody just starts like saying anything negative or disrespectful, block them, just don't even just don't even continue within the conversation. But I mean, you even got haters within the industry. I just got nominated for, I just won Ex-Biz MILF of the Year. And you know, I was so excited, and it was a really big achievement, you know, because I've worked so hard, and I was like, oh my God. And then the next day, we've got somebody in the industry who's hating on me, who's like, it's saying, oh, she's more like a GILF, not MILF of the Year winner is a GILF, not a MILF. And I'm like, really? But they didn't put my name in it. So even within the industry as well, you know, they started removing the tweets as well, but we got a screen grab before they did. But even within the industry, there's people on it, you know, a lot of it results from jealousy. You know, you're doing well or you're doing something, and they don't agree with it, or you know, they could never do that job for, you know, for whatever reason. You know, maybe they don't look like they could do the job. You know? And it's you can be in a bad place, but you just ignore it all.
Rise above. Yeah. But you know, when I was in grad school, I got a lot of shit for my area of engagement and social justice and advocacy and research. And you know, I've been doing this now for about 10 years, and you're going to have a lot of problems with it because for as progressive or as social justice informed or whatever people may see, you know, every human has a subjectivity and everybody has their own discomforts. And you know, you will see it in the academic job market, you will see it, you know, on your CV. You're going to get a lot of shit, but rise above, stay strong, and know that you're doing good work. And really, you know, that's what you have to do. That's all we're doing. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know. Another question?
Yeah. I guess this one is
divided. I think that there's the class acts, like all the people sitting up here, and then there are those that are jealous and angry, and what Tanya was saying. I mean, there's a very distinct divide, but you just stick with the good people.
I just would like to say, for me, I have met some of the most amazing women that I would ever meet in a lifetime in this industry. Prior to this, I was a social worker, actually, and a lot of great people, but some of my mentors over these last 10 years and the support systems that I've had with the women, I couldn't ask for better women or people in general. So yeah, I do think that there's a camaraderie.
Yeah, I have to also second what Bonnie says, because honestly, there's people that are just absolutely inspiring that get such a bad rap in this business, and this is part of the reason why I do the work I do and why I organize events like this, so people, wonderful women have the opportunity to really be seen as human and brilliant and just creative and fascinating.
And I think as well, surround yourself with good people, positive people, good friends like Chauntelle. And she's a supportive person. Of course, we've got Joy. So put yourself within a place with these people that are there. If there is a problem, you can reach out to somebody if you was ever in need, and you know somebody who'll be there and have your back.
Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, there's one here.
To the panel in general, a lot of new technologies out there, younger folks are very adept at it. Do you think that the world is ready for Housewives meets Julia Child meets Dancing with Stars as a weekly program where women could see things, see a person, directly feedback to that show, direct the content, and have what develops as a cooking show for sex, mainstream?
Is the world ready for interactive, weekly, serial, like webisode content type of thing?
Yeah.
Anybody want to weigh in?
In England, actually, they have channels. They don't do it over here, but I do regularly go back to England, and they have channels. It's not quite the same, but it's geared towards that way, where the girls will be there sitting on the sofa, and they're kind of like they're jiggling, so the guys can see the body parts moving. Some channels they're fully clothed, some channels they might be topless, but it's very interactive. Because it's on cable television, and some of them it's a subscription, so it's you have to subscribe to the adult-based channel. But the guys can ring in, they can speak to the girls, they can have the conversations that they want, they can listen into the conversations of the other guys. So we're leading more towards kind of the interactive one-on-one. And people ask me, which way is the porn industry going to go? I haven't got a crystal ball, and I don't know, but I think with the piracy and the way that people are just lifting porn and taking it and giving it away for free, so people don't want to pay for it anymore, being more interactive with the people one-on-one, I think that's definitely the way we can see it going. Whether mainstream will accept cooking shows like sex shows, I'm not sure how close, but I think we're moving forward.
What do you think, Natalie?
I was going to say, that sounds like webcam. I mean, I've cooked on cam. I've done my dishes on cam. I've scrubbed the floors on cam. I've taken my showers, my baths, I've shaved. Anything you can think of interactively. I mean, that's what webcamming is. It's a personalized experience where you get to interact with your customers. You get to say, hey, Bob, how was your day-to-day? How are your kids doing? Did you get them last weekend, or did they go to the zoo? So it is 100% interactive, where the customer does give all the feedback on what they want to see you do. They get to explore, not just the sexual side of things, but the personal side of things. I don't know how many times I've watched a movie on cam, in show, because, hey, the guy wanted to spend time with me. He can't spend time with me because we're thousands of miles apart, but we still got to enjoy a movie together.
Fantastic. All right, I think we have time for one more question. Yes.
C Corp in the US and we pay our taxes, we probably pay more.
I'm an LLC and I pay my taxes. It sucks, but I pay them.
I would say if you want to be in the adult business, you definitely have to follow all the rules and pay your taxes. Do everything above board.
The adult industry and adult businesses seem to get a little more scrutiny, and there are a lot of selectively enforced laws.
2257.
Yeah. 2257, any number of permitting issues, all sorts of things that adult industry members are, it's enforced, and it might not be enforced in the mainstream. So, one last question, quick and dirty, down the line. What one bit of advice would you give a woman who is new to the business or just coming up on it?
I would say be professional, do your research, look at it like a business, and hold on, because it's a lot of work, a lot more work than people think. I think being an adult is a little harder, regardless of if you're a woman or a man. And just, put yourself out there and be prepared to work hard.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah, it's going to keep repeating itself,
Yes.
isn't it? It's the same advice, if you're going to get into the industry, think about it first, because once you are in it, whether you're whichever side of the camera, especially being a model, you are going to always have, that porn is always going to be available online. So make sure you are 100% happy that you want to do it. Do some research, get with the right companies, find yourself a good agent, and treat it as a business. There's so many times I see young girls, they come in, they get all this money and it's spent and they've got no money to pay the rent. And it's like, you have to put some money aside, you have to start saving for your future, because you want to build a future. This is going to be the platform for your career, and treat it as a career as opposed to a party.
Natalie?
Do your research, do your research, do your research. I mean, seriously, I hear horror stories every day from new applicants telling me about this company or what this happened or what this happened. I'm like, if you'd have just done your research instead of just pointing and clicking and, being incredibly impulsive, then you wouldn't have put yourself in that situation. The most important thing is always do your research.
Jacky?
I would say build relationships and don't burn bridges. You never know who is going to help advance your career and whose career you can help advance one day. So I would just say, really, just build relationships and be a good person.
Angie? All excellent advice. I'm going to give you another piece of advice. Whatever part of this industry that you venture into, do it with passion.
Passion, research, all good things. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate this. This is a trade show. This is business, and you guys took the time out to be here and to be here with all of us. We are all grateful. Thank you.